Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside.
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hair loss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
That is so fucked up, guys. You're talking about my pissing frequency in the chat room? What's going on? Look, every once in a while, you know.
See what happens when you leave?
The old man's got to pee. What are you going to do? Guys, welcome to the show. You are listening to and watching The Bald Truth. I'm Spencer Kobren, live from Los Angeles, with, of course, my partner in crime. That is just a figment of Joe's imagination. That is just a, what is that called, Joe?
Well, apparently I don't know, since I'm a figment of my own imagination.
God almighty. I should not have started drinking before the broadcast. Anyway, welcome to the show, guys. We are a little late. Guys.
Good start.
We are a little late, and I have to tell you that it's my fault this time, so my bad. Normally I blame Joe. I would say 9 out of 10 times the reason we start the show late is because of Joe Tillman.
Because he blames Joe Tillman.
No, dude. Every time it's on me, I come out strong. First thing I say is I apologize to all of our listeners and to you, Joseph, because I don't want people to mistakenly blame you when it's not your fault.
I don't recall you actually just apologized to me just now. You just apologized to the crowd.
I'd like to apologize to Joseph Tillman for having to wait for the beginning of this broadcast. Guys, if you're new to the show, don't know who I am and why I'm here, and obviously everyone knows who Joe Tillman is. So let me tell you who I am. I am the founder of the American Hair Loss Association. I'm the author of The Bald Truth and the Truth About Women's Hair Loss. I've been in this industry and doing this program for about 25 years. Been doing the show for about 24 years. In one iteration or another, either on the radio, on XM satellite radio, on some live streaming platform. Last few years, Joe kind of brought me back to do the show on YouTube and through some of our other platforms. But either way, we have reached millions, and that is not an exaggeration, that is not a hyperbole, of men and women who are dealing with hair loss over the last 25 years. And if you took the time to listen to our advice, there's a good chance, not saying everyone out there lucked out as far as, moving in the direction that they want to with their hair loss, but if you took the time to listen to our advice, you're probably in a better place. And that's not to say that we know everything, but I got to tell you that we've been in the trenches for a very, very long time. We know where all the bodies are buried in this industry. We know exactly what goes on behind the scenes. We know about all the happy horse shit and the marketing, who developed what, who was really a true pioneer, what products and services actually work, and what is complete bullshit. And that's just a fact. If you guys are considering gray market products that you hear about through other resources on YouTube or social media, please be careful. If there's a gray market product, topical, oral, whatever, that I honestly believed, or we honestly have believed that there was at least strong anecdotal support for, I would be like, whatever, go for it. I'd probably use it myself. But the reality is most of what's being presented by the industry, by bro science, and by what you're reading online is complete bullshit. And that's the sad fact about this industry. What's so funny, Joe? You're reading the chat. You can't read the chat.
I got to read the chat. If I'm not going to read the chat, who is? I got to stay in touch with our peeps, man.
I hear you. Guys, listen.
I got to stay in touch with the peeps.
We have open lines. Let me give you the phone number, 888-659-3727. That's 888-659-3727. I got to tell you, sometimes the best shows that we have are the ones when I just kind of run into the studio, all frazzled, throw on these lights, hope the mic works, try to connect with Joe, realize, wait a second, that's not working. We got to fix this. This is what happened today.
That was funny.
And then we have some of the best calls. So, feel free to give us a call if you have any questions or concerns about your hair loss. And if you don't know who Joe Tillman is for some insane reason, if you've been living under a rock for the last couple of decades, Joe is the original hair transplant mentor, guys, who's had 10 hair transplant surgeries. Guy who's been working.
That's not a good thing.
No. 2 major mistakes. That's why you had to have 10. A guy who's been through the mill, a guy who's worked in this field, in this industry for top surgeons for many years, became independent, I guess about 6 years ago or 7 years ago now, something like that.
Seven.
Been
Yep.
a friend of the Bald Truth for a very long time, has been on the show on a regular basis, I'd say for at least 6 years now, right?
7.
7 years.
It was pretty much, summer of 2015 is when I started being your other half.
And you know what's funny? That is when Joe from Staten Island started to really present his anger issues with me.
Yeah. Coincidence?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's when it all started. I did a lost tapes type of a Instagram post, kind of going to put up some old content.
I saw that. Yeah.
And we had Joe from Staten Island call in, and somebody asked, how is Joe? When's the last time he called? It's been forever. And rumor has it that 2 things occurred. 1, I brought you on. That pissed him off. And 2, he chose to go down a route that I advised him against, to start to retreat his hair loss after all these years using a topical minoxidil preparation and a laser cap. And he went through a massive telogen effluvium, which threw him into a deep depression. And I think he blames you.
Maybe. Or maybe he blames you and me. Because
I think he blames all of us.
he blames everyone but himself. Yes, that's true. But he was a great contributor to the show. I'll never forget his contribution. He had a great segment that was kind of like the unofficial medical update for hair loss news, and I thought he was pretty good. He was pretty good with it. Like he was thorough. He was passionate about it, obviously, and I think he did a good job. So when he was a part of the show unofficially, because he was never officially part of the show, he did a good job, and I think a lot of people learned a lot from him.
Well, I think that's very...
As you say, there's a little bit of...
Joe from Staten Island in all of us.
In all of us, exactly.
Now, Joe is on the other end of the spectrum when it comes to... And not that he's on the spectrum. Now, if you say on the spectrum, you can't use the term spectrum without people thinking autism. But, he was on the end of the spectrum where you changed your career path, where you felt your life was over. He had bad surgery with Dr. Norman Orenreich, where every aspect of his life was dictated by his hair loss and his bad surgery, which I totally understand. And there were times when he would call in and people felt that he was kind of taking over the broadcast. When I was on the radio, the producers and the program directors were always like, this is radio. You can't let the same caller call in every week. And you have to kind of run through these calls. And I had to express to them, just like I do to the guys in the chat, all of you guys are here to voice your concerns, to vent, to talk about a subject that society in general has never allowed us to talk about. And if you need a therapy session, if it's going to help you to sit here, give us a call and talk to us for 20 minutes. And I think that the call, or at least you're getting some value out of it, then I'm sorry, listeners. That's just the way it's going to be. That's what this program is about. Yeah, there's some entertainment value, of course, but we're really here to provide you guys with a place to discuss this issue in a way that, with people who really understand what you're going through. So throughout my entire career, Joe, people have been complaining about shit. Even you were like, you write me, you're like, next. I'm just kidding. He never does that.
What?
Next caller.
Delete.
All right, guys. Anyway, 888-659-3727. I'm reading the chat, and Morty's in queue. Now, I don't have to take him, guys, but I'm going to take him because you know why? Morty takes the time to call this program, and he tries to share his wisdom, his experience, and he provides, I think, some good insight when it comes to, a guy who really took his time, who was going to jump in head first into having hair transplant surgery, took his time to listen to what Joe and I had to say, and then he somehow weaseled his way into the industry. So that
he's now on a first name basis with his doctor and going out to party and having concerts with him.
And drinking and going to concerts with him and having a hair transplant, which is amazing to me. I got a hand to this guy. Yes. Is he a Yenta? Absolutely. But he's my favorite Yenta. Let's take Mordecai from Brooklyn. Morty, is that you?
Mortimus Prime.
It is I, Mordecai from Brooklyn. What is up, guys?
How are you, man?
Mortimus Prime.
Indeed. Thank you for the illustrious introduction. My goodness. I feel so loved and special by you guys. Thanks once again for putting on the show of shows, the hair show by the two greatest hair experts in the field. We have Spencer Kobren, the OG of the consumer hair squad, and then of course we have Joe Tillman, who is the hair transplant mentor and the man who knows just about everything there is to know about hair transplants because he's had 10 of them.
I think the big difference between me and Joe is that Joe made a lot of fucking mistakes.
Thanks for the setup, Morty. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. And you know what? Here's the thing. Your comment about why I know so much about surgery isn't exactly accurate. Like I happen to have 10 surgeries just because I could, because I worked in a clinic where one of the greatest hair transplant surgeons was 15 feet away, and if someone didn't show up for surgery, it's like, hey Joe, you want some more hair? Sure, let's do it. The reason I know so much about the surgery is because I was in that clinic for so long, and I was so fascinated by the surgery itself. I would sit in on surgery for hours, to where they'd have to tell me to get out and go back to work, because I truly have a passion for watching this stuff, and I keep saying that in another life I would have been a hair transplant doctor, the best in the world.
Well, I didn't mean it that way, Joe. It's just the very last bit that I said. I called you I don't even remember what I said because I just ad-libbed the whole thing. But anyway,
that's how we do the show, man.
Except for, yeah, really, it's true. Basically, I wasn't going to call because I got a stuffy nose. Some think it's just allergies. I tested. I am not COVID positive again, thank God.
Good.
But not feeling 100%. But I just, when Bob Marley comes and says, "Oh, I hope Morty doesn't call in," I'm like, okay, that's it.
I'm calling. Exactly.
I had to call in. And the other comment that he made, which is somebody's looking for discount codes for hair transplants. All right, if that's what you're looking for, then you've already got the wrong mindset. I mean, the bottom line is that the price is the last thing that you're looking at. If you're going to go to a doctor because you can get a quote-unquote 10% discount by a code, then good luck to you, because I don't know what your hair transplant's going to look like.
That's well said, but there's a couple of things that I think consumers need to be aware of as well. If you're going through a website that has online consultations, understand what that means as well. You may not be getting a discount, but somebody else is getting, let's just say they're getting some sort of credit for you going through their website. That is not the best way to go about things either.
Spencer.
Say that again?
You could use the word kickback, Spencer. That's, I think, more appropriate.
I can't use those words, no.
Okay, well, I just did.
Yeah.
But anyway, I guess that's really the point. The thing is you're not getting, it's not 10% discount on a car wash, or getting your nails done, or a 10% discount off of a haircut, or even quite frankly a 10% discount off of and here again we're starting to cross the line, off of something like a Botox or a or filler, which we also see a lot of. particularly think that that's a good idea either. But this is far more intrusive and far more dangerous if done incorrectly, both in terms of, actual physical health. I mean, you're going to be applying, the doctor's going to be applying medications for numbing pain, which can have really bad reactions, some of which includes possible death, and, infections and so on, all of these types of things. So, looking for discounts on something like that, I mean, is somebody going to look for a 10% discount on a heart transplant? Is that something that people would actually consider? Or are you going to look for the best heart transplant doctor that you're going to that you can find?
Morty, you're wasting your breath.
You need to think about.
You're wasting your breath. I appreciate it. We've been saying this for many years, and we'll keep saying it. And that's the reason why we're still in business, because people are fucking dumb. That's all I'm going to say. Mm-hmm. And that sounds harsh. Now there are those who are just naive, because this industry has been turned into a commodity. It always has been a commodity, basically. But because of social media, the ads that they see, the way that they see hair transplant surgery being presented, the fact that there are YouTube and Instagram influencers who are going out there like idiots themselves, jumping into the chair and promoting the fact that they had a hair transplant the day of and right after the surgery.
And they're fucking experts.
Everyone thinks that they're experts, and all these sad souls are going and running to have hair transplant surgery, even if it's not a cheap hair transplant surgery or a discounted hair transplant surgery. They're still motivated by what I consider to be, quasi-reasonable information. I mean, it depends on the person. Some people can go to a doctor, they have a great experience, and they want to put it out there for public consumption, and you're able to follow their progress, and in the end, they have a great result. But in general, most of these people who go out there and pimp their hair transplant on social media end up getting fucked up. That is the reality of the situation. They contact Joe or they contact me in the end, and sometimes they're super embarrassed and they don't want to go public about it. There were a couple who have gone public, and then Joe got a lot of shit for that. Actually, I did at one point as well. But so, Morty, we'll keep fighting the good fight. Your message is really good as well, obviously, but people are just dumb or stubborn. And there's only a small percentage of people who contact us. Somebody contacted me through Instagram yesterday saying that they took our advice, they waited, and they're much happier that they did.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, the show this past Saturday was awesome. We got to see Ace Frehley, Dr. Cole, Nick, and myself, and he put on a good show. I'll be probably hanging with John this weekend as well, assuming that I get over this cold.
Well, I hope that you do as well.
Okay.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Good times.
All right, guys.
All right.
That's it.
Good luck.
Keep on trucking, guys. Take it easy.
Thanks for the call, buddy. And Mr. Orlando, actually, you're one of the few who I don't put into that category. You did your due diligence. You had a really great outcome.
You listened to us.
Yeah, and I really believe that you offer your viewers a lot of solid information. You present really well, and I think from what I've seen, and I saw your last video, which I thought was great, you're doing a good job. So, no, you're not put into that category. But there's a lot of assholes out there. You know it. I know it. That's the reality. And there's a lot of people who just, they don't know their ass from their elbow. They're out there giving people advice that can really damage their lives. And that's what scares me.
Yep.
Anyway, guys, phone number 888-659-3727. We do have lines open if you want to give us a call. What happened?
Our friend HLC 2020 says U.S. Airways once offered 25,000 frequent flyer miles if you picked a specific laser eye surgery clinic.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, that's the world we live in. And back to what Morty was talking about and what you're talking about with, there are a lot of stupid people out there. Look at the market. Look at this industry. It's like if there weren't a lot of stupid people out there, there wouldn't be a lot of hair transplant clinics left standing.
That's true.
Because that's how the majority of the industry thrives. Not just exists, but thrives. Because there are idiots out there that see the owner of a hair transplant clinic in Turkey jumping around in her prom dress for
Ridiculous.
for a TikTok ad, and they think that like that gets their attention. Like, oh, I need to look at this plate. And what's funny, well, nothing's funny about it, but I look at this and it just reinforces that solid information is more needed now than ever, especially from people like Mr. Rolandis, who, like you were saying, like does a good job. I'm a huge believer in what Mr. Rolandis is doing. He does a great job, and we appreciate his support on our channel as well.
He's just too sensitive, that's all.
He's just so sensitive.
Yeah.
But, yeah, guys, there is a whole lot more coming down the pike that you guys aren't even prepared for. They're going to blow your minds as far as how people are presenting their clinics and how patients are presenting their results. Like, it's just going to get worse. And the normal today will be passé in 6 months, and you won't even recognize the YouTubers 6 months from now and the TikTokers and what they're doing, because it's just continuously getting worse. So welcome to the world of hair restoration.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. You know, I was speaking to a board, and I put in quotes, he is board certified. He's a board certified plastic surgeon. I was out the other night. Every once in a while I run into this guy in this particular bar, and I think I told the story that he was going to get into hair transplant surgery, and his take was, I'm a board certified plastic surgeon. The space is mine. I'm going to own this town compared to the other guys who are doing surgery. And he was speaking to me saying that it was a lot more difficult than he thought. And not that he was harming any patients, but he was like, it's incredibly labor intensive. He didn't realize the psychological demands or how much you had to hold these patients' hands through the entire process, much more than like having a chin implant or even a boob job. Mm-hmm. And he was pretty discouraged by his experience over the last year. Now, I did see, he showed me some images, before and after images. I saw some of his results, and he's doing a good job. Conservative, thank God. But, just because he has a surgery residency, he's board certified as a plastic surgeon, he's mediocre at best at this point. And he's got a couple of years that he needs, a couple of years more in the trenches that he needs to really get his chops up to state-of-the-art levels. Yep. And I don't know if he has the patience to make that happen.
We'll see.
But my point is...
It's interesting that he was so humbled.
Well, he was. Because I think he was humbled because I expressed to him what a difficult and nuanced surgery this is. This isn't like throwing in silicone orbs into some woman's chest. Not saying that's not difficult, and that really needs to be a well-planned out, thoughtful surgery. And it could take a lot of work, and you need a lot of expertise. But it's different, man. This is a surgery where every aspect of the surgery, every from the consultation to, drawing the initial hairline, to counseling the patient, to, extracting the grafts and handling the grafts and placing the grafts and what holding solution you choose, how long the grafts are kept out of the body, all that, all the shit we talk about, it's just a lot different, and people getting into the field really don't understand that. And I got to tell you, Joe, you were just at a meeting in Turkey. Let me ask you, were you sitting in on any talks about, really where physicians were warning beginners about the reality of this surgery and the entire scope and possible pitfalls of this surgery?
There was none of that in the actual presentations, but I did actually hear some of that being said between individuals, where it wasn't be careful, getting into this industry because the doctor was already in this industry, but he was fairly new. He was saying, be careful about pushing too much. Take your time. It was more of a fair guidance type of direction that he was pushing this doctor. He was
but we always hear the stuff.
Don't jump into it too deep.
Always hear stuff in the hallways. We always hear what's happening, between the sessions, and that's one of the reasons why when I founded and when we created Global Hair Loss Summit, I wanted some of the talks to be kind of the stuff that people hear between the sessions. And that's great.
Yeah.
But why don't these motherfuckers actually have a session for beginners about the realities of getting into this industry, not just the nuts and bolts of hair transplant surgery, but the realities of getting into this industry, what these patients expect from you, just, that they're putting their hopes and their dreams and their futures in your hands. And this is very real. Now, I brought this up. I've spoken to some physicians, and, they're willing to do it for the Global Hair Loss Summit, but it's never been done in any conference, and I don't know why.
Because they leave it up to people like you and me, or Spencer Stevenson. Because they don't want to be the ones to do it.
Why?
And they don't even know that we're going to do it. It's just when they ask us to speak at these events, that's what we talk about, or can be, or has been. And they want to talk more about things that put them on the map. Now, you know what? I take that back. There was...
I got a fucking splitting headache, yeah. Sorry. I'll drink some more wine.
I don't know if she actually presented it at this meeting because I missed her presentation. Before I get into it, speaking of double board certified hair transplant surgeons, Dr. Ken Anderson says, "Hey guys, great show." He's in the chat room. Thank you very much, Dr. Anderson. Good to have you with us. And he is one board certified surgeon that did push through and learned the nuances of hair transplant surgery and does a fine job. So thought I'd throw that in there. The doctor that did talk about this, actually, the psychology of the patient, was Dr. Özlem Bischer, otherwise known as Dr. Özlem Beiser.
Right.
I tried to say it in the correct Turkish pronunciation. She did actually have a talk about the psychology of the patient and trying to make sure that they're in a good position. So, in other words, not to suck in every patient that you can, be more selective. So that was along the right lines, the right path, but it wasn't.
But maybe talk about how maybe someone they made a misstep or a mistake or a bad call as far as patient selection and what that did to them and their practices and to the patient who they decided to treat. How many complaints they ended up getting based on making a bad decision. What you need to avoid if you're getting into this practice, because this is a very, a emotionally charged situation that patients are getting in. For a guy to be so consumed over his hair loss, which is common, but then to take the next step to have surgery, cosmetic surgery to fix it, you're talking about a person who really needs to be fully informed, and physicians really need to make the right choice when it comes to patient selection to make sure that these guys are emotional candidates as well. And there's a lot of physicians out there that they can't figure that out.
Dr. Anderson says in the chat room, he goes, "I presented a talk like that at the Foundation for Facial Aesthetic Surgery meeting in New Orleans and delivered it to an audience of facial plastic surgeons. It was poorly received." And I can see that. Like, they don't want to know what they're doing wrong. They want to know how to get in more patients and how to do better work. I get it.
Well, I did a talk at a plastic surgery symposium, like a workshop here in Los Angeles. Craig Ziering was there and Mark Dower was there, and we're all on this dais and on this panel. And I'm talking about the reality of the surgery. And I also said that if you're doing it right, you can make a tremendous amount of money if it's done correctly. And I was kind of expressing to them how you need to build your practice. And Craig, who makes me laugh sometimes, I hear him say, "Why is he telling people they can make so much money?" Everyone, it's all, it's feast or famine in this fucking industry. You can't tell the truth. You can't describe the industry. You can't say, look, if you do things right, you can do incredibly well, but you have to make these choices in order to get in that position. It's like you can't, everyone is keeping everything so close to their vest. You cannot provide the education, in my view, that physicians really need to enter this procedure, to enter the specialty. I can't speak tonight, Joe. To enter the specialty, with the information they need to really help their patients, and also to ensure that they don't get into trouble. No one gives a shit about that. Oh, is it okay, Joe? I appreciate that. It's okay. Let's take a phone call.
It's all right.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's
Bob
this
Marley.
and where are you calling from? Hello?
Hey, yo.
Hey.
Is it me?
Yeah, it's you.
Hello.
Who's this?
It's you.
Undercover, under the weather, man.
What's wrong with you, Undercover? Did you get the virus in
What's up,
Turkey?
Undercover?
I had to go all the way to Turkey. To get COVID.
Jesus Christ!
Although I tested,
My God.
although I tested negative leaving the place, to get on the flight back, I haven't felt well since. And I thought I was getting better a little bit every day, but the last 2 days I've developed a new symptom of just this deeper cough that just comes on, it's in spasms. So I'm struggling with it. There's a lot of people out there with the exact same thing.
I'm sorry to hear that, Undercover. We can't lose you, man. You do important work.
No, don't worry. I'm not going to get lost, but it's just on this particular day I'm struggling. That's all.
All right.
I'm going to be okay.
All right.
Well,
I probably should get tested.
my advice would be to get tested here in the United States of America.
The US of A.
Get a PCR test, Doc.
America.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get yourself on some monoclonal antibodies.
Well, anyway, though, the meeting itself was something else. It really was. I was I don't know what to tell you. I was blown away, and really opened my eyes.
Tell us your thoughts.
Jesus, blown away by what?
Well, the meeting was very well done. I mean, he's got a fantastic facility there, Dr. Erdogan,
It's pretty impressive, man.
The live portion was on like a 25-foot screen, and then it was divided into 9 quadrants for the 9 surgeries, and he did good commentary for each of the cases. I would have been really content to just sit there and watch the screen all day. It's very good. But, his case was 3,200 grafts, FUE. So I just wanted to go up, and when I started seeing it on the screen there, what I was seeing was I didn't believe what I was seeing, to be honest with you. I don't know if I'm just behind the curve, not having attended the FUE Europe meetings in the past, but they.
Well, I'm going to be candid with you, Doc. If you were just going to ISHRS meetings and workshops, then you're absolutely behind the curve because you know why. I mean, you've been involved with the ISHRS for many years since the beginning. You can probably explain why better than me.
Well, right now there's a conflict. I guess it's been going on for 10 years. But what Dr. Erdogan was doing, for example, you can't do that here. And if you can't do that, then how do you compete? I mean, we're stuck in the so-called white market, theoretically. And I don't know, is he considered a black market doctor? I mean, is he banned from the ISHRS too?
I don't know if he's banned from the ISHRS or if he stepped down.
If
he stepped down from the ISHRS.
He chose not to renew.
But I mean, he's delegating all the surgery except for making the recipient sites.
Well, you do know that the majority of your colleagues in the U.S. are doing the same, right?
Well, they have to.
Yeah.
After what I saw there, I think you just have to. You don't have any choice. You have to if you're going to compete. I mean, we're talking about a worldwide market, not just a.
It's not about having to or competing. It's just the way that it's been for years now, especially because the device makers have come into all these plastic surgery offices where the entire surgery is delegated from beginning to end without any input from the doctor whatsoever, because they don't even know anything about hair. Where they've brought in a device and they're leaving it up to these travel technicians that know far more about surgery than the doctor does, and they're literally bringing it in as an adjunct to add revenue for their other procedures. So I remember hearing an audio recording of a doctor that was giving a seminar on one of the devices that's available, and she was saying that it's a great device because you can have a technician come in, do the surgery, generating more revenue. These are her words, generating more revenue while you're doing consultations or doing Botox injections. Period.
Yeah, but here's the
that's
thing.
it.
There were a few things I saw going on in the clinic that were astounding. For example, he wasn't even using any of these fancy motorized punches or devices. He was using the old tiny little handheld. He got it from Ellis, a little, handheld device with a 0.8 millimeter punch, so-called sharp punch, but they're really not that sharp. They're titanium tip punches. They're good for about 500 needle sticks. But the technicians, he's got a couple of other inventions that are quite useful. Had the patient sitting up with the chin in a rest, and two techs on each side, basically coring left-handed and pulling with their right hand. And this went on nonstop. They did it lickety-split. And
did you take a look at the graphs?
So, I didn't, unfortunately. I had my loops, and I was just so astounded and blown away. I just thought, I forgot. I should have, I guess. But on the other hand, I guess they must have been okay.
Yeah, I will tell you that if you see the way that his clinic operates, and if you see the way he trains his techs, and Joe was kind of involved he did an Instagram thing where he was, I guess you videoed it, right, Joe? For a while, you can put that on YouTube. I don't know, but you were essentially placing graphs and doing what the initial trainee technicians were doing. Yeah. So why don't you explain that?
Yeah.
Are you talking about the placement?
Well, the bottom line was he was able to have two of them working the whole time, and then when it came to placing, a different two came in, and using the little gadget he's developed, it was sort of like a shoehorn. It's not an implanter pen; it's sort of somewhere in between a stick in place done by one person. He has this little gadget called a keep.
Well, Doc, listen, let's face it. While the ISHS was trying to, and all of the old guard was trying to diminish the reality that FUE was here to stay and that it's something that is going to evolve very quickly, Europeans and people in other parts of the world were like, this is something we can do. Let's work on this and make it happen. And they're far, in front of the curve. Left you guys in the dust, yo.
I will say this about Europe versus the U.S. The European market picked up a lot faster with FUE, and a lot of people aren't going to like this, but it's because in North America we were so much better at FUT and strip surgery, and they were horrible.
They're the worst.
Horrible.
The UK market was a complete disaster. It still is. UK market is one of the most dangerous markets.
Disaster.
Yeah.
So for there to be an alternative to FUT, oh hell yeah, they were going to pick that up real fast because they didn't have to worry about the donor scar. They could let other people do the surgery with them to help out. It was much easier to do, and that's why Europe took off so fast with FUE.
Yeah.
Little point there for people to remember.
So
go ahead, Doc.
Undercover Doc. So what's your takeaway now? You seem a little discouraged.
Well, there were other things, too, that I saw that were interesting as well. For example, I remember the ISHRS, a couple of American docs, wanted to say that to do FUT, to do follicular unit transplant, you had to use microscopes, and the other parameters, you had to use a single-bladed scalpel to remove the strip. Well, those are silly parameters. I mean, they might as well describe what type of light source you needed, et cetera, et cetera. But in this case, listen, the tongue blade was the thing that we cut grafts on 30 years ago. And they have tongue blades in the clinic there, and they're using them. And, I mean, tongue blades worked. And so, I mean, they're smart enough not to throw something out just because somebody's telling them that you have to follow the exact guidelines or parameters. But anyway, I just thought it impressed me that they were able to do 3,200 grafts in 6 hours. That was impressive. But how am I going to do that? How am I going to do that? Theoretically, I'm not supposed to do that the way he did it.
Well, you may have to work for us then. Just be Undercover Doc.
I think I'm going to work for him. I'm going to go to his office. I'm going to be his translator for German. The translator he has there, she doesn't translate German. I'm going to translate for him and then work in his clinic. No, I'm just kidding. But I'll tell you what, I love Turkey. I could see retiring there. It's very European flavor. We've got the good weather. And it's cheap, except for the flight. It's a cheap place to live, too. People are very friendly. They don't speak great English overall. They don't speak much English overall, I should say.
But Undercover Doc, we did discuss that. I mean, why not become a tech? You can make $400,000, $500,000 a year.
Yeah. You know, I mean, either that or work in the garden department at Home Depot. What do you think?
Look, if you love gardening, and I know that you do, why not? At your point in life, what's the difference? Who are you trying to impress?
I'm not. I've already applied, to be honest with you. For Home Depot. I've already applied. I think for gardening on my own for 20 years, I think I know more than most of the people that are working in there. But anyway,
yeah, well,
it'd be fun.
Well, listen, I'm sorry that you got it. We're going to take some more calls. I'm sorry that you really need to get tested. You're a doctor, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, I have a home kit right here.
So test yourself.
Do it.
Well, I will. There was one other thing though I wanted to talk about.
Okay, real quick.
I'm trying to remember. You know how it is. You're getting there.
Come on.
Another conclusion. Another conclusion. I
yep.
You'll have to wait. I'll wait till next time.
Okay.
I'll call in. I'll call in later and show if I'm still alive.
Listen,
okay?
feel good. Let us know you're still alive, all right? We can't lose you.
I'll call you later if I'm dead.
Okay. Take it easy. Okay, bye-bye.
Jesus Christ.
Bye-bye.
Phone number is 888-659-3727. He made a little Biden joke about me right there.
He really did. He really did.
And that hurt. That's going to leave a mark, Second call. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, how you doing, guys? Mike from New York.
Mike, what's happening, man?
Hey, Mike.
Not much,
how you doing, buddy?
Not much. Pretty good. Well, I mean, still in my situation with the effluvium and all that, but I just called in for a couple things. The first really didn't have to do with my situation. You know, it's funny, I was tattooing this client the other day, and I saw what you guys were just talking about. And I go, oh, so what do you do for work? She's like, oh, I work at a med spa. And so I started asking about PRP, of course, and of course they do that there. They have like 2 RNs. And then she's like, oh, yeah, I know all about that stuff. And then we got on the topic of hair transplants. And she goes, oh, yeah, we do neografts at my med spa.
Unbelievable.
So they have RNs doing neografts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, at least they're RNs.
Yeah.
And it's legal.
Seriously.
And you're in New York City, right?
Westchester.
Westchester. Okay. So yeah, I mean, most med spas have a physician who is at least, the director of the med spa or maybe the owner. So if these RNs are working on the auspices of this guy's license or gal's license, then it's completely legal, and it's possible that they're really good at what they do. Look, you heard Undercover Doc. There are some incredible technicians and incredible RNs who are doing a much better work than physicians. So the bottom line is the results. Now, sadly, in many cases, the results aren't that great. And we see it here, and I talk about it all the time. I see it right here in Los Angeles, in Beverly Hills. Very well-heeled guys getting hair transplants, thinking that they're maybe saving a couple of bucks, or they went to their wife's plastic surgeon's office to get a neograft or whatever, and they're fucked.
Yeah, it's crazy. And, it's funny also, I was watching YouTube the other day. I won't name the channel, but they went and visited this Turkish clinic called Cosmetica. Have you heard of this?
Yes, I have.
Oh, God, yes.
Okay, so they go in there. First off, they stay at a 5-star hotel they put them up in, and they bring this luxury van to pick them up after giving them an all-you-can-eat buffet.
Yeah.
They go into this place. It looks like a spaceship inside. I mean, it's like Star Wars. You put your hand on the wall, and the door slides open, and the lobby's got waterfalls in it, and the rooms are all state-of-the-art looking. I'm like, they must have spent tens of millions of dollars building this place.
Probably not, but yeah, they spent a lot.
No,
I mean, it was insane.
It
looked like it was out of the future.
Yeah.
And this channel, he's gotten his. I'm sure people will figure out what it is. He's gotten his hair transplant there, and in this video, he brought his buddy to get a hair transplant, who I would say was like a Norwood 4A5 diffuse thinning, and the donor area didn't. It's hard to tell because his hair was kind of longer in the back. But they interviewed the doctor. He's like, "Oh yeah, no, the donor area is good. Let's get going." Draws the hairline on. Now listen, I don't know much about this doctor, so I don't really want to say anything, but. It just was mind-boggling how much these two guys were fascinated with how great this place looked versus what about the results?
That is really just the nature of the game. That is the nature of this industry now. And I would say that the Turkish market is really starting to hone that, like over-the-top facility type of situation. It's happening in India now as well. But it's all about the experience, and it's about the hotel and the being picked up door to door and being kind of handled and having your own person to essentially wait on you hand and foot. And they're able to do all that inexpensively and provide this incredible experience for patients. And they're just churning out cases. Now, I'm assuming that this particular facility did a relatively decent job for these YouTubers. But you have no idea if that doctor is working, on other patients. You don't know what staff is working on who. And in some cases, I'm not saying it is with this clinic, and Joe may know more about this particular clinic. It could be just a bait and switch. You get the YouTubers in there, get them decent work, and then you're going to get thousands of patients who are just essentially having surgery done by teenagers.
Yeah, I
Well, look,
I don't know about the results.
The thing about
because I never saw 'em.
the thing about clinics like that, and it's interesting you brought this up because I released a video today of my recent trip to Turkey, where I did a light overview of the clinic of Dr. Erdogan at AzMed, and his facility is amazing as well. And I'm sitting here kind of laughing to myself because you're talking about how they just wave their hand and the door opens. They have that too, but there's actually a reason for that because the less surface contact you come with your hands, whether it's gloved or not, the better when it comes to
Cross-contamination. Yeah, I'm a tattooist. I totally get that.
Cross-contamination. Yeah, exactly. So those are actually really great things to have, and there are some clinics that I also know of in Europe that have that. But the thing about most hair transplant clinics in Turkey is, well, I'll say this about all hair transplant clinics in Turkey, is they do want to impress you with their facilities on some level. They do want to impress you with how they take care of you, having the driver pick you up, a luxury car. It used to be a luxury car. Now it's a luxury van or SUV. And the cheaper...
Are they using like Mercedes Sprinters, right?
Yes.
Mercedes Sprint, smaller Mercedes Sprinters. And some of them, I consider them to be the more tacky clinics, will have the interiors of these vans just decked out to the nines. Like, it looks like a discotheque. It's really
that's how
gaudy.
this was. All leather seats and the fancy cup holders and everything in it, the TVs.
Why don't they provide like hookers?
Yeah. Well, that's one of the next steps. That's coming up. But part of it is the culture, because I mean in Turkey they do want to impress their guests with exuberant hospitality, just crazy hospitality. They really it's kind of like Italy on steroids when it comes to hospitality. And it's not just hair transplant surgery. It's if you come into their home, if you go to dinner, if they invite you, it's like it means you're going to be taken care of. So part of it is a cultural thing, but ultimately.
But do you have to take your shoes off and shit?
No, but ultimately, when you've got actually, yeah, it depends on where you are, but ultimately, if
by the way, guys, that was a joke that Joe didn't play into
setup, then yeah, they're obviously going to get the A+ team for everything across the board, and I mean, of course, they're going to be playing it up to the nines. I mean, it's going to be over the top. Everything's perfect. But what else would you expect, right? I mean, of course, you don't know what to expect for your own case if you went there yourself, but that's just the way it is. And it is interesting. Like I talked to a lot of people about this when I was over there. The market in Turkey is actually changing to where a lot of the cheap clinics from 3-4 years ago are now the upper echelon clinics, and they're charging double what they used to just 3, 4, or 5 years ago. And there's a whole new crop of cheap clinics that are taking their spots from just a few years ago. So it's cyclical. It's really bizarre what's going on over there. And the clinics that have been around for a long time and have built up a name, they're getting kind of overshadowed by these TikTok clinics.
Yeah. TikTok clinics. That is a great name for it, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. TM. So
TikTok.
Yeah, I mean it's quite interesting. I'm really glad I went back there because it showed me what's going on compared to just a few years ago. It's changed.
No, it's totally true. I mean, I saw it firsthand in this video, but it's crazy. The last thing I just want to ask you guys, and I'll let you go, is I know you're probably going to advise me against this, as you know, with my situation. I'm looking at a lot, I've researched, obviously, hair transplant doctors. I saw a bunch in the city. I won't list them again. But, I started to think, because it's getting very, while I have this diffuse thinning and this massive shedding, the top of my head is fairly decent, and so is my donor area, and it's what's really taking me the hour in the morning to get this even presentable is really that front hairline is starting to go. It's still to the point where I could dump half a bottle of Topic in it, which I'm sure isn't good because, I mean, I'm literally having to put a lot of Topic in the front to not have it come see through the hairline in the sun. But that's really what's bothering me. And, I watch a lot of these doctors' videos, especially some of the ones in New York, and I look at guys who had way worse hair loss than me and got the transplant. I'm like, well, that result is good. I could live with that result. So my thought was this: maybe I should, go for that frontal band, that FUT frontal band. That would really knock out 90% of my problem, because that's really where the major problem area is. With I have thinning in the crown, but little Topic, you can't see it at all. It looks totally fine. And then the mid scalp is looking pretty decent. There may be miniaturization there, but right now it's if I get out and the hair is wet, it's damn obvious. But once it's blow dry, it looks pretty thick. I check in the mirror, I run my hand through the hair, and it's a pretty thick density. Now I know it's not a good idea because you're saying with the shedding that's going on, but I mean this has been a year of this shed now, and I would say I'm a Norwood 2. With diffuse, Norwood 2A. My thought was maybe do that frontal band, right? I never want to rock the bald look, so I do the frontal band. I'm on, treatment. I'm on the finasteride, dutasteride, and Minox. And my thought is if I do continue to lose hair down the line, obviously I'm going to have that scar from the surgery. I'm not opposed to a hair system, so that scar may never be an issue.
So I was just
going to
ask
anyway.
you that. Would you, if the worst case scenario came to play, would you wear a hair system? And you just answered that question. The majority of people.
Remember, I haven't done it yet, so I may go to do it and find this is such a pain in the ass. I can't keep this up.
Well, that's the thing. So why wouldn't you try that first?
Because I have way too much hair to put a hair system on. It will never work.
Not necessarily. You can shave it down.
No. Mm-hmm.
And you can give it a shot. Shave your head down.
Yeah, but if I shave it down, there's so much stubble in the mid scalp and even in the crown that it's going to be coming loose.
All you do is have to tack the perimeter of that shit on in the hairline. If your hairline is already further back than you want it, if there's no hair in that hairline, you can do it very carefully. You can tack down the hairline, and you could just be very ginger about gluing it on the back and the sides. Try it out, see if you like it. If you can deal with it, then okay, here's the last resort. I know I could deal with this. It looks okay. I feel comfortable wearing it. Great. Take it off, put that shit in the bin, hold it, in a drawer for a while, and then go through your process, which can take a couple of years. But
I know that's an option. I don't want to shave my head because I took so long to get this growth out, and I have like this almost paranoia that I'm not going to get back to where I am once I take it off.
Well, let me ask you this: how are you going to get your surgery if you're afraid of shaving?
Jump in the camera on you. I'll be right back.
Yeah, are you going to go for
I would. You're right. At that point, I would have
transplants.
No. At that point, you're right. I would have to shave it for the surgery. You're right. And I've been looking at those doctors in New York, but I want to talk to you, and I know you've touched on this. There is a doctor who I watch his YouTube videos. He's been mentioned here. He is phenomenal. I have to say. I mean, I don't know, but the results I'm seeing are the best results I've ever seen in my life. He's taking people who are really in bad shape, and then their hair is thick and full, and his videos, he cuts it with the comb and shows you the cross-section, he wets it, he does it dry, he does it with a blow dryer. It's Dr. Coto in Spain.
Couto.
Yes. What is your opinion of him? I mean, he looks like the results look like the best transplants I've ever seen in my life. And it's FUE.
Well, yeah, it is FUE, and the problem I have with Couto is he's very secretive. Like there's I've never seen him. I think I've maybe seen him once, as far as like his what he even looks like. But the problem I have with him, at least in the North American market, is there's not a lot known about him. I know a little bit about him just from doctors I know that know him. But what he's doing or how he's doing things is, I don't recall seeing anything online that shows his procedure, how he does, how he does it, who does it. Is it technicians? Is it him? I do know 2 patients that did go to him. I'm not going to comment on the result. I'm not going to comment on their experience because it's hearsay. But I will say that I personally, if I were to choose a clinic, it would be a clinic that's pretty transparent with how they do things. You may not know exactly who the person is that's doing the surgery, but you know that it's not him or it is him, or if he's using technicians or he's not using technicians, what kind of FUE procedure he's doing. Is it manual? Is it motorized? A combination? How is he making his recipient sites? Is it stick in place? Is it pre-made? Is it blades? Is it needles? I don't know any of this. Now, to be completely transparent with this, I've not really investigated a whole lot. But what I've seen, like I've gone through his channel a couple of times, just looking at stuff. I've not seen any of this. Now, he's also very popular in discussion boards in Spain, and I think in Spain, and maybe 1 or 2 others in Europe, where they may know this. So I'm not professing to know anything about everything about Couto, but what I have seen, it doesn't impress me as far as the information goes. The results look good, like no question about it. Results look good, but at the same time, at the same time, when you have something consistent like that, like I've seen some really aggressive cases where, the result looks thick and fantastic. The graph counts don't seem to match up with what I'm seeing, but it just it tells me best case scenario has got a really high survival rate, which is obviously a good thing. But ultimately, like, I like more transparency. He's fine for a lot of people, obviously. He's got a great reputation. But what I'm seeing as far as reputation is not from patients. It's just from it's just from the clinic, and there's not a whole lot that I'm seeing as far as the how things are done. So I say buyer beware. Do your research. No, I've not seen it in person. No.
Okay, so I guess then besides that, my best options would still be locally, like Wesley or Bloxham or someone like that, right?
I can't say that. I don't know. It depends on what's important to you. Like, if it were me and I was interested in this guy, I would hop on a plane and I would go see him. And I know that he's got he's got a schedule for consultations that's pushed out. But if you think it's that good, then it should be worth it. If not,
you're right.
I mean, never compromise. Like, look, people say, Morty said this earlier to someone in the chat room. Don't let price be the guiding force, and he's right. But it goes further than that. Like, anytime that you are looking for the right doctor for you, it's not just don't ignore price. It's get as much information as you can about this doctor, and then look at the price. And what I tell patients is find 5, 7, 10 clinics that you really like, narrow them down to the top 3, and then if you want to start looking at price, look at the price. But if any of those 3 top ones are out of your price range, fucking save your money.
Yeah,
because this is a lifelong result.
It's the same with
I
tattoos,
understand.
You get what you pay for.
It's the same with tattoos. But I can understand, looking for the more affordable clinics, because today, and this is what blows my mind. I see people talking in different groups online about how Clinic X is $5,000. That is super expensive. My God, that's like, man, what are they thinking? That's cheap. That's like 5, 6, 7 years ago, $5,000 was nothing for a hair transplant.
Are you
now
kidding me?
it's stratospherically expensive.
I have to get dental work. You know how much taking a tooth out costs?
No, I know.
And getting it replaced and getting a crown and dealing with all that bullshit?
But if you go to Turkey, but the point is, the point. And by the way, rhinoplasty is huge in Turkey. I saw more rhinoplasty jobs in Turkey than I saw hair transplants by a factor of 10. It was crazy.
And this is nothing against the Turkish aesthetic, but there's a unique Turkish aesthetic that I see when it comes to facial surgery, and it is a glaring representation of what their culture sees as beautiful and aesthetically appropriate, and they're giving that.
You're right.
They're giving that to Europeans, and I'm seeing some really unique nose or rhinoplasty results that probably would not fly here in the U.S. Just saying. Go ahead, Jim.
Some unique
I think my
dental
biggest
jobs
concern,
too.
I guess, is dense packing the front hairband, and for me locally in New York, I'm going to be quite frankly the best doctor I've seen who could do that is actually Bloxham on the results. He seems to do good frontal band work with the FUT.
So what does he want to do? What does he want to do with you? Didn't you tell me that he turned you down?
He originally said you don't need it, and then it got worse, and he acknowledged it got worse, and he said I would do 2,000 grafts front band, dense pack, and then I started this effluvium miniaturization, and that's when he said let's wait until this sorts itself out.
Okay. Well, I would listen to what he has
Which
to say.
I agree with, by the way.
You can definitely check in with him again. All I can tell you about Bloxham is that he trained with someone who evolved his practice very quickly to doing things in a truly state-of-the-art way back when FUT was the whole game, when FUT was really state-of-the-art. He learned from a guy who I think was extremely open-minded during that time in the history of hair transplant surgery and ended up providing his patients with some of the best results out there. So at least he's absolutely well trained in my view. I mean, he never applied to the IHRS, and honestly, he's still. I mean, he has enough time on tissue, I guess, but I don't love the idea that it's kind of like one size fits all as far as they're so anti-FUE. When I think being able to offer a hybrid procedure for a lot of patients could really benefit more patients in the end.
All right, and just my last question for Joe on that same topic is, you were saying that how they do the procedure matters. Does it matter for the implantation, whether they're using an implanter pen or just the forceps? Is one better than the other? I didn't say it matters
how they're doing it. I said it matters to know how they're doing it. Big difference.
Right.
Like you need to, I want to know how they're doing it, because I do have my own personal opinions about things for my own case. But it doesn't. You just need to find a clinic that I think is more transparent with how they do things, because how can you make an informed decision if you don't know what's going on? I'm big on informed decisions.
Here's what I can say. There are physicians, there are clinics that do incredible stick in place. They're using implanter pens. They're doing really good work. And then there are clinics who have kind of mastered or had their technicians master forcep placement, and they've really mastered recipient site creation. And all the grafts are being handled beautifully, and so the result is going to be impeccable. When people tell me, and when physicians tell me, oh, well, we're doing the DHI approach, or we're doing, it's all implanter pens, and this is state-of-the-art, complete bullshit. I love guys who do well with implanter pens. And I'm not a doctor, but I've seen it all. And it really, that's why they call it the practice of medicine. Some practices have built their infrastructure around forceps placing, and they are second to none. And then there are practices who have built their practice around stick in place using implanter pens, and they are just as good.
All right. All right, guys.
Man.
Well, thanks. Have a great weekend.
All right. Good luck. Take it easy.
Thanks for calling, man. Bye-bye.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey, it's me again. I told you I'd call back if I died, so I died. Here I am.
Oh, God bless you,
Undercover.
sir.
That guy reminded me what I wanted to talk about. And Joe, we talked about this at the Hair of Istanbul, that whole thing. There was a young doctor there, Spencer, probably 26, maybe, not even 30, I'm sure, from Brazil. who'd had a terrible hair transplant. And I'm, you can see it. You look at it right away, and you go, "Oh, who?" In fact, I said to him, "Who did that?"
Did you make? I hope you didn't make him feel bad.
Well, you know what? He was fairly cheerful. He was fairly cheerful considering the way I put it.
Yeah.
But he went to hair of Istanbul, and then he realized.
Considering I told him he looked like a freak, he was in surprisingly good mood.
Well, yeah. Well, that's pretty much what the impetus of my remark was like. Anyway, he knew he'd gotten a bad job. So while he's here and was there in Turkey, he went back to hair of Istanbul to complain. And the doctor, who's not there doing the surgeries, is the owner of the place, actually talked to him and told him all he needed to do was
more grafts. That's their mantra. Now here's a funny thing, because I wondered with this guy, how the hell did you fall into the trap of that place?
So I was going to go there. I planned to visit it on my last day, but I didn't have the time. So instead, I looked them up on the website. Now, if you've looked at their website, you're going to have to laugh. We'd roll on the floor. It's time to roll, because when you look at their gallery, their gallery is like, they clearly use a template of some sort, either a metal or a hard plastic, to draw the hairline, because every single one of them have the same exact symmetrical hairline drawn.
It could be a laser, but yeah.
They slant, it could be, but they slant the corners downward rather than upward, and they try to produce these Turkish hairlines, which you do see in the population over there, these really ultra-low hairlines, and that's what they're trying to give to everybody that goes into their place. Yeah. Now, a young American going over there, these young guys, 25 years old, they think that's what they want.
I've seen them.
But they don't recognize looking at that gallery that's a scary gallery that they should run fast the other way. They don't recognize that. They're not nuanced in what they're looking for. So anyway, there was comments made at the meeting about the huge burgeoning of the repair market now because of all this volume of hair transplants that are being done, and the massive amount of core work that needs to be repaired. And nobody likes to do repair work. I mean, you could make a fortune doing repair work.
Yeah.
Because, for example, Dr. Rustin in Brazil booked a year out.
Yeah.
Just doing repair. He's willing to do it.
Yeah.
Taking out grafts, using laser hair removal, and tossing them out. So half of them, and otherwise moving some of them. But anyway, you wonder how somebody falls prey to a clinic like that. But it's partially because they really don't know what they're looking for.
Let's go back. Let's go back in time, Doc. How did they fall prey to medical hair restoration? How did they fall prey to the old Bosley? How did they fall prey to all the happy horseshit that you guys, who are essentially the old guard, saw happening in your field? Now, no one really gave a shit back then, and some of the doctors complained about it because there was such a small market. They were like, well, you know what? These companies are great because they kind of bring light to this procedure, and we end up getting patients from them. And now that we're connected to the IHRS, everything kind of trickles down, so it's all wonderful. So no one really complained. But the reality is, people have been falling prey to your industry forever.
Right, because the people that are coming in are vulnerable.
Yeah,
they want something that may or may not really exist. They want it so badly that if somebody's to tell them you can have this, they'll just say okay, just like that.
When Walter Unger once told me a story, and he may have told this may be a famous story, that when he first started to see, I'm pretty sure it was Walter. So Walter, forgive me if I'm incorrect, but I'm pretty sure that you told me this. That initially when he started to perform hair transplant surgery, he was like, this may not look so good, but then patients were coming back and they wanted more. And he's like, well, listen, the hair's growing, the patients seem happy, they want more, I'm going to give them more. And these are the grandfathers of your industry. They're still revered by you guys.
Well, he also told a story about the patient that was.
Say again?
He told the story about the patient who was suicidal, and he ended up doing this transplant to try to keep the kid from killing himself.
Yeah.
So, how'd that work?
I don't know, but I can tell you the story of two hairdressers. You want to hear this one? Recently, I had two hairdressers. One of them knows me. He's seen my work over 5 years or longer. He pushed me about 5 years ago to do a transplant, and I pushed him away. I held off on him. He didn't need a hair transplant. So right during COVID, he was trying to reach me, and we'd shut down. So he was about to go to Turkey, and he finally reached me. So he comes in, and this time, because I succumbed to this, because he was going to go to Turkey, his mother, he's 40 years old and a popular hairdresser, very busy clinic. His mother is a fitness enthusiast, teacher, etc., came with him to the consultation. She didn't want him to do it. But because he was going to go to Turkey and do it, I decided I would do it for him. Now, on the day of the procedure, he came in and he drew the hairline based on pictures he'd seen from his Turkish research.
So did he come in with like a crayon hairline? How did he draw the hairline?
He came in, I drew the hairline that I was recommending for him. And he went in the bathroom and drew his own hairline, came back out and said, "This is what I want."
Holy mother of God. Did you just say, "I can't do this"?
No, I did this one. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, that's the first hairdresser. Now, he's probably about 3 months now. He's very happy. I'm afraid he's going to send me all these guys from the barbershop that want that.
Right.
But anyway, I have another
That's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is the other hairdresser came through a referral, but he came to me and he let me do what I wanted. Now, this guy's not the brightest guy. This guy's not the brightest guy. He had a tattoo on his on the frontal third of his scalp, and he wanted me to do a hair transplant over the tattoo to hide it. And so I gave him the right hairline. We went down slightly, just enough below his tattoo. But now, what's happened, it's been 3.5 months. I told the guy finally, he's been texting me twice a week forever, driving me crazy. Now he's showing me pictures of his friends that did, two guys went to Turkey, shows me their after pictures after the surgery. He goes, "How come I don't look like this?" I said, "Because that's not what we did for you." So, anyway, so I did what I thought was best for him. Now he's complaining. The other guy, I didn't do what I thought was best, and he's elated. Neither one of them have grown in yet, so we'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, well, Doc, you got to do, and you know this, you have to do what's appropriate. This is how you've lived and this is how you've worked throughout your entire career. That's why you have maintained such a good reputation. And it's sad that there is this new normal that's been created by this market, not by the black market. The entire market's a black market. I think it's ridiculous that was even a concept that was promoted by what was considered to be the main organization of this industry at one point. But the fact that this new normal has been created, and there are physicians who feel pressured to meet this new standard that's not normal. It's like these women walking around with insane breast augmentation. Well, that too, but lip augmentation and fillers in their face.
Eyebrows.
Yeah, and insane tattooed eyebrows. And women aspire to look like this. And doctors are like, yeah, sure, listen, this is the new trend. I'm in this business. I got to give people what they want. Whatever happened to first do no harm? That is thrown out the window in this industry.
One of the reasons that I went to Turkey was because I wanted to find out for myself why I was getting these patients with these kind of requests. The first guy was based on...
Well, now you know.
Yeah, I do. I found out for myself. The funny thing is, the second hairdresser, he texted me, and I tell him I'm in Turkey. He didn't believe me. He thought it was pulling his leg. And I said, "I think I found the answers over here." And then he says back to me, he goes, "I think I feel much more nervous now because we already did my transplant. Like, now you know." He said, "Like, now you found the answer." So,
Well, here's a little advice on Undercover Doc. Don't become so fucking friendly with your patients, first of all.
Yeah,
that is a bad policy.
You mean to let them text you all the time?
Yeah, bad policy, man. That is a bad policy, and it's almost like a psychiatrist who would allow their patient to, have access to them, 24 hours, 7 days a week. It's one thing after the surgery to do reasonable follow-up, to give them your cell phone so that they can contact you, and you if there's an emergency or if they have questions. But once that initial hand-holding is done, then I would say you check in on them, or if they need you for something, medically, for sure. But if you're just palling around with these guys, man, that is a recipe for disaster.
Believe me, I'm not palling around with this guy. He's the only patient I've ever had that texted me inappropriately like he has. I was going to suggest you watch the movie What About Bob? The one with Bill Murray and Richard Dreyfuss with the doctor.
That's what I think about sometimes. Well, you told me about it. There was another patient.
There's another patient, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's another patient that did something similar. Now, you never, here's the thing, you never give out names, you never send images. I respect that about you. But you have told me and you have voiced some experiences that you've had that weren't that terrific based on you, I guess, connecting so closely with these guys.
Casually,
yes.
Casually,
yeah.
So, well, it can come back. It can come back and get you.
All right, Doug. Well, maybe there's a lesson. Maybe there's a lesson learned here on the Bald Truth for you as well.
Yeah, never too late to learn something.
All right, man. Well, listen, I appreciate the call. We're going to take some more calls, but it is important that people hear from somebody who's been in the industry for almost 30 years their take on the reality of how this industry and how the field itself is devolving to the point of, honestly, there's no return. And I've told people, we can change things. We can make it a safer place for patients who take the time to do just a little bit of due diligence. But it's never going to be the same.
There were a lot of FUE hair transplants running around all over the place, in the airport, et cetera, and that frontal band that they're talking about, where you go across the 3/4 of an inch, below their existing hairline, and then do the corners in such a way that they're going to regret it someday.
Yeah, they're all going to regret it someday. You know what's going to happen if I live long enough, and I'm still doing this show in 10 years, and I'm still feeling like I want to do this. The amount of carnage and the amount of walking wounded that's going to be out there, who's going to be calling us for help and just a little therapy, I don't think we're going to be able to handle it. It's going to be in 10 years. It's going to be a fucking freak show out there in the streets. All right, Doc.
Yeah.
Take care. We're going to take a call.
You will.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Doc. Bye-bye.
And I'm not even kidding you. There are guys in the chair right now who believe they've done their best, they've done their due diligence, they saved their money, they took the trip, they got time off work, they told their wives or their mothers or their loved ones that they're doing something for themselves. They're going to come back, they're going to feel okay for a year maybe, and that's it. That's a good result. And then in 5 years, they're going to be like, what the fuck is going on?
This is how people today do hair transplant research. Just like this.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's how you get a woman too.
It. That's
all right.
And that too.
Let's take a call.
All right.
Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
How you doing? It is Pat from Ireland.
Pat from Ireland. How are you, man? Thanks
Hello,
for the call.
Pat.
How are you?
Okay, man. Hanging in there. What's going
Can't
on?
complain.
Very good, Joe. How are you?
I'm pretty good, sir. Pretty good. How are you today?
I'm very good.
Awesome. What can we do for you?
I've called in a couple of times before. I did the video on Carl from Eugenics.
Oh yeah. You did the video. You made a video about Carl.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, Dr. P was over in Ireland.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. So you got some mad drone skills, man.
You did a video call. You did a video call with him, and I was walking along beside him.
Yeah, that's right.
That was me.
We met through a video call. Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah. I've called in a couple of times before. So I went over, and I've called into the show a couple of times. I think the last time, I've been meaning to get in touch with you guys for, I think the last time I called in was July of last year.
So what's new? What's going on?
Well, what's new was I went over to Eugenics in October of last year, and I went over and I got 7,000 grafts altogether, I'm trying to think how many. I think it was 3,000. I think it was 3,721 scalp grafts and 3,269 beard grafts.
Ted, how old of a guy are you?
I'm 41. I'm going on 42 this year.
Okay. It's a lot of grafts moved. How many days did it take? Was it one day?
I went over on the Monday. I flew out on the Monday. My surgery started on the Tuesday. It was a late enough start because I got to India, into Delhi on the Monday night. It was very late, this is in the middle of COVID. And my flight got in, I'd say around midnight, and there was the car from Eugenics was waiting outside for me. It was like 2:30 in the morning by the time I got out. They dropped me to the hotel, and I got the call from the clinic the next morning, on the Tuesday morning, that they were picking up at lunchtime. So I just chilled out. In my hotel room.
But how long? How many days did the surgery last?
So you were talking Tuesday. I met Dr. P. He did the slits on the Tuesday evening, and then all day Wednesday. You're talking 9 a.m. to maybe 10 p.m. on the Wednesday, and then on Thursday it was like an 8 a.m. start, and we finished at 10 p.m. on Thursday night.
Wow, okay.
I got out of the chair.
So you're talking about two full days, and he started doing creating slits the night before the first day.
Yeah, yeah. So you're talking, You're talking about 2.5 days.
2.5 days.
So So it was say from 6 p.m. on the Tuesday. It was a late start because Dr. P. He's such a good man. He wanted to show me the clinic. He just brought me around. He showed me the setup of the place, and he did my slits. And then I went back to the hotel room. And I remember going back that night. I could see my hairline, how it was going to be because the slits were in place. The next day, they started doing the extractions and the implantations, and it was literally touch and go. I got out, I'd say, by 10:30, 11 o'clock on the Thursday night, and my flight was at 3 a.m. Thursday night, Friday morning, and I got back to. I flew from Delhi to Amsterdam and back into Dublin. I was home by about 7 p.m. Irish time the next evening. The thing about it was, I've been in touch with you guys. I've been on the phone to you before, and I've been talking about my experience. Dr. P, when I went over back in October of last year, he did a video. He blurred out my face because I'm quite conscious about having my face shared in social media and all over the World Wide Web.
Just like Joe.
Yeah, just like me.
Yeah. Yeah, something similar to Joe Tillman, yeah. And he did a video, and he had it's interesting because I remember when I went in, and he was so anxious about doing a video with me that he said, I've had 4 FUTs before. I've explained this to you guys in previous phone calls that I've done into the show. I've got 4 FUT scars in the back of my head. If I could, because I'm on my phone right now, I'd love to share. I'd actually love to put the photographs that Eugenics took after he shaved my scalp down to do the FUT surgery. I'd love to send on the photographs to you guys about how the back of my scalp looks.
Well, you can definitely send them to Joe. Joe accepts photographs. That's his thing.
Yeah, I've sent them into Joe before. Joe,
that just didn't sound right. Like, what are you trying to? We're trying to do here. It sounded.
You can get a lot of. You can get a lot of dick pics, my man.
do you want to? Sorry, I'm listening. Do you want a picture of my dick?
Joe might. I don't know.
No.
Look, he's evolving. He lives in Canada. Jesus. You know.
No, I spoke to you guys before, and I've like it's like you say, Spencer. The walking wound is done your time in the trenches. I'm just one of those guys, and it was back in the time I didn't know where to go. You know,
Sure.
like my first FUT was 2006. We've had this conversation before on the show. You don't know where to turn. And like I spoke to you about this before, Spencer, that you know, I didn't know about the show. I didn't know about Joe. The first person I came across was Specs.
Okay.
Spencer Stevens.
Yeah.
Spencer Stevenson. And I went and I met Scott Alexander over in London back in, I think it was 2016. And, you know, I'd been through 4 FUTs before, and I genuinely thought I was a lost cause. And, you know, I had this chat with you guys.
But I don't remember. So was Scott able to help you at all?
No. I tell you, Spence. What happened was I went over. He was able to help me. He did offer help, but I wasn't comfortable with it.
Okay.
He was talking about further FUT. He was talking about he could do another 1,000 grafts through an FUT procedure by being creative.
Yeah.
By going further up into my, I think my lateral side of my scalp.
Right.
And the whole thing, you have to look at this from my perspective. That I have 4 FUT scars.
Oh, listen, I get it.
I don't want any more. I do not want any more scars.
You were fucked 4 times, and now
I've been fucked 4 times over. But here you go. I've gone to. I don't know how to describe it. I've gone to a place where they don't get the credit they deserve. I went to India to a guy that is passionate about trying to help people like me. And the realistic side of things is that you meet people, like I've met so many people, and it's like the previous phone call, you were talking to guys to go to Turkey, and that, you know, the walking wound that you're going to see in another 5 or 10 years, it is so, I don't think people take it seriously enough. It's so kind of ad hoc, kind of, oh yeah, I'll just go over for a bit of a touch-up over to Turkey, and they don't realise how bad an experience they're going to have, because rewind the clock 16 years ago, I had that bad experience. Like, it's just, you need, it's like, okay, Joe, can I ask you a question? Do you see the video that I did about Carl Whelan?
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Yeah, you saw the video. I did that video, and Carl made he made the very interesting point that at the very end of that video, he said, baldness is optional as long as it is with the right clinic. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
I told him to say that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's true,
point.
but here's the thing. I understand why you said that, and I certainly appreciate it. I really do. Like who are you talking to, right? But I think that the manner in which that message comes across, and I'm not talking about this video specifically, but just the message that baldness is optional. I'm not crazy about that message, and I say that because I think that it promotes surgery a bit too much as being an option for people to consider. I take it from a different angle. Like, baldness is optional, but there's consequences to consider. And you should understand this just as much as I do, that there are no guarantees. It doesn't matter what method of surgery it is, whether it's an FUT or FUE. There are no guarantees with it. And a lot of people are unhappy that had that same mindset. So I get it. I get the idea baldness is optional. It certainly is, but it can also be better than the alternative.
And I will say, I agree with you 100%, Joe. I'll go even further to state when there are other physicians out there who promote the fact.
I totally get what
I'm sorry to interrupt you, man.
Sorry, Spencer. I didn't mean to cut across.
It's all right.
Go ahead.
I'm going to finish my thought for a second, then you can talk. I agree with Joe 100%, and there are physicians out there who have been promoting this concept that now hair loss is optional. That is not true in any way, shape, or form. It's optional for some people who either do well on medication or do well on medication and are great candidates for hair transplant surgery. But it is put out there as though, hey, people choose to be bald now. The majority of guys walking around without hair, they're not making that choice. And the majority of them have tried something, at least one treatment. So when people say that it's optional, it really makes it look black or white, like it's a choice now. It's not a choice for most people. Now, there is an option to effectively treat your hair loss now, where we never had that option to this degree ever in history. But all those options that are out there to treat your hair loss are flawed, and nothing is perfect.
Yeah,
that's it. And people don't get that.
I get what you're saying, but here's the thing. And I had this conversation with Dr. Pradeep when he was over in Dublin a couple of weeks ago. The issue you have nowadays with people that are looking for hair restoration surgery is that they're expecting the native hair growth. They're expecting 70 to 80 grafts per square centimeter, and they're thinking, when I'm going for a hair transplant, this is what I'm going to get.
But they were, Pat, they were expecting that 10 years ago. They were expecting that 15 years ago.
Yeah, we had this conversation in the previous phone call.
Yeah.
That I mentioned it to you guys. People need to be realistic. They have to be realistic about things that, like, you can never go back. And this was the thing. This is what makes a candidate for a hair transplant, is you have to be realistic about going into what you're expecting. If you want a natural hairline with adequate growth that will in some way produce some kind of coverage over your scalp, is good. I remember I spoke to you guys about this before in a previous phone call. The one thing I was looking for, going over to the eugenics, I booked my surgery back in April 2020, and then COVID hit, and I remember my flights were cancelled, and one thing or another, and then eventually I got over for October of last year. And I remember I did the video with Dr. P just before I had my surgery. He says, "What are you looking for?" And I just said, "I'm looking for an improvement."
Right.
That was it. I was just looking for improvement. People have to be realistic about these things, that they're not going to go back to their native growth.
The problem with that, Pat, is most people don't know what being realistic means. That's the challenge here. You're completely right. People need to be realistic, but the problem now, more so than ever, far more now than ever, is that people don't know what realistic means. The people are further away from what realistic means today than they've ever been in the past.
And they also look like patients like you, Pat, as outliers, guys who got fucked. This is not going to happen to me. Now, with all this new technology, this isn't going to happen to me. And this is the way it's been for the entirety since the inception of this industry. It goes that way in cosmetic surgery, in dermatology. You know, people think they're not going to get fucked. Now, in this particular field, more people are fucked over, in my view, than in any other field of cosmetic surgery. At the very least, if you have a fucked up boob job, there's a good chance if you find the next good physician, you can be repaired. Even though there could be complications and extra scar tissue to deal with, but there's a good chance you can get to where you want to be. In this particular surgery, those grafts are, that's it. You have a finite amount of hair that can be moved.
That just brings me on to my next point, Spence. I'm just going to, I remember you used to have this car, used to be coming in, brilliant caller. What was his name? Reese from overseas.
The guy who's...
he used to work overseas.
Yeah, the guy who's in the military, yeah.
Yeah. He was an absolute exceptional caller. Coming into the show, I was always so interested in listening to him. And he told a story one time. He went in and he got this surgery done. And next thing, I remember him telling this story about this this woman came in. She meant business. She had like a Brillo pad that was scrubbing his head off scrubbing the scabs off his grafts. Do you remember this phone call? Well, I would say about a year and a half ago.
I don't remember.
And I remember it struck me. Yeah, it struck me as how fucked up this industry is. That what you have now, and I've had this experience before with the previous surgeon that did work on me before, that he was stepping up as a keynote speaker for ISHRS.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And they're holding a candle to this guy.
Of course.
Who left for you. This is my issue. This is my
dude. That organization has been built on the blood of people like you.
Yeah, exactly. So you have these kind of butchers that are coming up, and these people are holding candles to these guys because, we're the international surgeon of hair restoration specialist.
By the way, that's not going to go over well with our friends at the ISHRS.
It really
I don't give a shit because they fucked up my head. I'm not going to complain about it.
Yeah.
But like they've already fucked up my head. If they want to complain, they can come to me. But they're going to hold a candle to these people. So what are you going to do? And then but this is my issue. That then you have other surgeons that are the best in the world, and
Well, I think it's an interesting time to make an announcement, Joe.
I'm sorry, Joe and Spencer. I'm just deciding. I'm sure you understand. I feel bitter about it.
I would feel bitter as well,
Oh, yeah.
and I understand your point. But I think this is an interesting time to kind of tell you guys, and Joe can do it. You're alluding to the fact that there are these newer physicians or younger physicians who don't get the same notoriety and who may not get the podium time. They're not put out there as leaders in the field. They're not given positions in this fucked up bureaucracy that is medicine in this particular industry. It's really fucked up. And they're kind of held down, and they have to, kiss the ring of those who have fucked up the lives of countless human beings. But that's over. Joe, maybe you want to make this announcement. You know what I'm talking about?
Not really. Like, we've got so much going on. Like,
who are going to be the Jesus? Who are going to be the co-scientific directors of the Global Hair Loss Summit this year?
Oh no, we can't make that announcement yet.
Oh, we can't.
Yeah.
No, we cannot.
All right.
We cannot.
Well, anyway, I can tell you this: that we are making choices now, and.
Yeah.
Okay. You fucked up my whole role there, man.
Well, I didn't know you were going to do that. It's not like there's still some discussions to be had.
Oh, that's not good. I don't like that. Well, anyway,
no,
we've
fine.
invited some very compelling people and surgeons to be scientific directors this year, and I think is going to help to really change the space and to change the game. And
the difficulty is, guys. Here's the difficulty. I just want to cut in, and I don't mean to cut you off by saying this. What you guys do was great, but then you got these shit fucking social media, Instagram people that are coming up with ads about you come to Turkey and get a hair restoration procedure, and we'll put you up in a 5-star hotel, and it's $2,000, and it's. The issue, and we need to help other people about this, is education. That's it at the end of the day. People need to understand more about what this whole field is about.
Well, here's the thing. Social media it's a very tough space. The truth doesn't always sell, and that's the reality. When you're out there really swinging and you are hustling the truth, sometimes that truth is suppressed. I've been dealing with this for a very, very long time. When you talk about being canceled, there was no cancel culture when this field tried to cancel me. Didn't exist. Never heard of it. But this field and so-called leaders in this field had major sponsors pulled up from my radio program back in the day, did all kinds of stuff to try to quell this speech. And you know what? I dealt with it. I was just like, all right, fuck you guys. I'm going to grow this even bigger. Go ahead.
Can I ask you, Spencer? Can I ask you one question?
Yeah, you can ask me too.
Nowadays, if this was nowadays, do you think with the whole quelling speech thing, would it be more difficult for you to get your voice out nowadays than it was, say, 10 or 15 years ago?
I don't think so. I think that, I started out in an old school way, and it was very difficult to get published. It was very difficult to get on the radio. And, the radio stations were very skittish when it came to, just to let you know, my first year on the radio, I had a clinic, a physician well-known in New York, very successful, very wealthy guy, sue me and all the radio stations, there was only a couple at the time, who aired the program, to try to shut me up. And I had to make a commitment to the radio stations that I would take care of all the legal fees, so on and so forth. But they were very skittish. They were willing to possibly take me off the air because of that. Now, we beat the shit out of this guy, and I did it pro se, didn't have to spend any money on attorneys. And the end result was, once he settled, because I countersued, and my defense was absolute truth. And once he realized, and his lawyer realized, that I would not give up in this case, the settlement was this: I cannot speak about this particular physician or his clinic or his staff in a derogatory fashion for more than half of my broadcast every week. That was the settlement. And that's the only way I would allow him to get out of this lawsuit. So we crushed him. So so to answer your question, no. I think that if we started on, say, YouTube, and I really put a tremendous amount of effort into it, the barrier to entry to getting your message out there is much easier now than it was when I started. I never really put that effort into it. Joe is the guy who's kind of pulled me back into the social media aspect of things. I was basically retired in 2009.
So you're blaming Joe?
I'm blaming Joe, yeah. Joe fucked up the whole thing.
My fault.
Guys, I love to talk. I know you've got more callers coming in. I am going to definitely call in again. I've left it too long.
No, listen.
So I think it was July of last year. The next time you pair of fuckers are over in Ireland, we'll come over and catch up on a beer.
Absolutely,
How
man.
does it sound?
And I'm really
Absolutely.
glad. It sounds great. I'm really glad that you are in a space now where you're feeling a lot better. There is hope for a lot of you guys out there who've been fucked.
There's a bit of work to go, but it's like I say, and just for every listener that's listening out there, be realistic. That's the only advice I can give, is just be realistic, listen to a good surgeon, and you will find your way.
I think that's a great message, man. Thanks for the call, Pat.
Thanks for calling,
Thanks,
Pat.
guys.
Take care.
Take care.
Good hearing from you.
All the best. Thanks.
All right.
Bye-bye.
That's a guy who I wanted to speak. This is a guy who needed to talk. He has a very powerful story. Yeah. And,
and he's passionate. And I totally get it. Like, when you're repaired by a doctor after being through the mill, so to speak, it's a wonderful. It changes your entire perspective about a lot of things, not just surgery or your hair transplant surgery, but about a lot of things. I totally get it. I felt his passion and his feelings of
his pain.
Yeah, his pain, but his feelings of redemption. Like I've been there, man. I totally get it. But then there's the issue of being bald as a choice. I understand the passion behind that. I don't entirely agree with it, but I really love the video he made for Carl. I don't know if you've seen this, Spencer, but this guy Pat is a cinematographer of some sort, because he's using drone footage and he's using beautiful camera movements. He had beautiful color grading on the video. It was a professional. You could almost call it a commercial for Carl, the patient of eugenics, not so much eugenics. They are in there somewhere. I'm mainly a commercial for Carl and his hair.
To be candid, I really should take the time to look at these things more often, and I really don't spend a lot of time on social. I don't spend a lot of time looking at YouTube videos about the industry. I was just asked to look at some stuff by this More Plates, More Dates guy, by someone who's pretty well known in the world, and I'm taking a look, and I'm impressed by what a lot of these guys are able to do. I'm impressed with their follow through and the thoroughness and their commitment to their channels, and it's a lot of work. I'm impressed by Mr. Rolandis. God damn it, I'm not throwing him in any type of category.
A lot of the guys, or just a few of the guys? Because I think it's just a few of the guys that are impressive, like Mr. Rolandis.
All right, dude. I'm trying to be nice. I'm impressed by several of the people that I've taken a look at. I don't know all these other guys. I don't jump around. I don't look at anybody's channel. You tell me a lot of stuff, and I'm just like, oh, that's fucked up. A couple of guys that I looked at had some impressive content, meaning, listen, there's a lot of bro science out there. There's people who are talking about stuff that are not in the industry, that don't really understand certain things that we understand. That's a given. But I'm sure there are people out there that are getting information, especially when it comes to some of the scientific and technical aspects of medications and drugs that are being used in this field, that can benefit, and also some inspiration from some of these guys. That's it. Can I be nice to people?
No.
I can't give anybody credit?
Because then they want stuff from you.
Well, they don't need shit from me.
Not all of them.
So why don't you give out the websites? I'm not going to take any more calls.
No more.
It's 5 o'clock.
Calls?
It's 5 o'clock, dude.
So?
I'm out of here.
4:58. We can take a short one.
I got a headache. I got this tooth thing, man. I got to get some fucking work done next week. I want to get drunk. Oh, you want to hang up, guys? You didn't have to hang up. If you want to call in, we'll take a call. 888-659-3727. I'll stay here for 10 more minutes. All right?
If someone calls in,
I'm a little groggy.
If not, then I'll go ahead and give it. I'll give out the website. I will tell you, last week, you want to talk about groggy. I got hit with jet lag like nobody's business, because I had not only just come in from Turkey, but I'd also been awake almost 36 hours because I got held up at one of my layovers, and I missed my last flight out, and I had to stay in the airport overnight before I could get the next flight out to finally get home. That was a bitch. And I was loopy. Was it last week? It was last week.
It was last week.
Was it last week?
Yeah. It was last week. With Dr. Hughes.
Yes, that's right, with Dr. Hughes. Yeah, I was loopy. But, but now you're groggy. Why are you groggy?
Well,
well, man?
No, I'm fine. I had a couple of drinks, but I'm also, I have this fucked up tooth that I have to deal with.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm just like, oh man, I got to deal with this shit, and my fucking jaw hurts, and so it's a whole thing. And what's funny is I have to have this procedure done. It's in the back, but it's still a pain in the ass. And guess who's going to be in studio next week?
Who?
Spencer Stevenson. He's coming all the way.
That's right.
All the way from the goddamn United Kingdom.
Just for the show.
I think for some other things, but yeah.
Yeah, there's some other things. We know.
So I possibly may have an ice pack. Who knows? And you know what's even more fucked up? I won't be able to drink with him.
But you'll find a way.
I can't do it.
You'll find a way.
I am not going to drink on any medication. That is a young man's.
Maybe I should come down.
That's a young man's game. No, you're not invited. That's a young man's game.
I think I'll make myself invited.
Can't do it. I can't have fun. It's not going to be fun for me. When I could drink, I don't want to just sit there and watch you guys get loaded.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of bad. So.
All right, man. Give out the website.
No calls. No one's called in.
No one's calling in.
Sorry, guys. Okay, so well, you know what? I want to give the first mention to the guys over at Hair Loss Conquerors, a Facebook group that has about 11,000 members. They posted the show, or they allowed me to post the show up in the group, which I recently joined. I've been hearing a lot of things about this group.
It's really cool.
Seems like a lot of good guys on this, and what I like about it is it's not like a bunch of anonymous people that are speaking, talking shit about clinics, and the reason why is because they're not anonymous. it's an amazing situation when you don't have anonymous people talking about clinics. You have people with their full-on names, like their identities are
actually
out there.
supporting each other.
Supporting each other, it changes everything.
That shit does not happen in this industry. I mean, people are brutal on these forums. Stay off the forums, except for the good ones. Go ahead.
Yeah. But, so that's the Facebook group, Hair Loss Conquerors. Seems like a good bunch of guys over there. I know Mr. Rolandis is involved on a level there, so well done.
By the way, Mr. Rolandis is jacked. I had no idea. I saw him in his last video.
He's pushing the weights, man.
I'm just like, holy shit, this guy is pumped. Yo.
Was that the one you kept putting on repeat?
I have a screenshot of him as my screensaver.
As your screensaver on your desktop and your phone. Also, speaking of Spencer Speck Stevenson, apethegentleman.com hosts the UK version of The Bald Truth. It's The Bald Truth UK with Spencer Speck Stevenson and this guy, Spencer Kobren. It's not on every Friday, but It
will be again. It will be again. It's supposed to be on every Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Coming back with that. Great resource. apethegentleman.com. Great resource, not just for the show, but also for men's grooming tips and tricks and all that good stuff. AmericanHairLoss.org. It is the de facto standard for big media, mass media, anything and everything having to do with hair loss or hair restoration. If they're talking about it, they will cite and reference AmericanHairLoss.org or American Hair Loss Association more specifically, because that's just the way it works out. I mean, everyone goes there and talks about American hair loss and the information that they provide being basically the Bible, God's word about hair loss and hair restoration. So check that out. Also, if you're looking for a hair transplant surgeon, there's no list, there's no resource that has an impeccable list of surgeons or clinics that are infallible. Everyone can have problems, but a good, safe place to start is the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons.
I would say that impeccable is probably close. Infallible is actually honest. These guys are not infallible.
They are not infallible.
This is a great place to start to do your research, just like the best surgeons ever in history and the Hair Transplant Mentor group of recommended people.
I never said that. I never say that. I never said it. I never will say it.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. But hairtransplantmentor.com, it is my website with my personal hair loss and hair restoration journey. All the surgeries I've been through, not just photos, but video and commentary. I think I'm still, yes, Rolandis, I'm still the most documented hair transplant patient online. Not talking about YouTube, I'm talking about in the web in general, including photos and documentation on all the formats over the years. So, but you're getting there, man. You're getting close. What else? We got, what else is there? If you want to talk about forums, there's a few of them. There's Bald Truth Talk, most traffic forum in the interwebs regarding hair loss and hair restoration. It is moderated, so you can't just jump onto a thread and start trashing a clinic. You got to be closer to the information, than saying I heard this or I heard that. That doesn't help anyone. Doesn't help you. Doesn't help the clinic. Doesn't help patients, and it only leads to just bad stuff, man.
I also think it's important to state that there's no moderators in there trying to guide you to fucking recommended or doctors who are sponsoring their sites, or there's no moderators in there bashing who they believe to be their competitors in anything in this field. Doesn't exist.
No.
Just had to say it.
Doesn't exist. And no one trying to get you to fill out consultation forms. We'll say that much. Hair Loss Experiences, another supporter of this broadcast. We do appreciate their efforts. Pretty good website over there, pretty good forum. They do take care of their members, and they're pretty fair with what they do. There's also billycapelli.forumfree.it. If that's
who said hello to us today in the room. He was in the room today.
Yes, they did. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate that. What else we got? Is that it? Did I cover it all?
I didn't even listen. I don't know what you're talking about.
Poultry Talk. Oh, how can we forget? hairlosscure2020.com. It is the place to go if you want to know about future treatments, anything non-surgical, PRP, injectables, mesotherapy, the new, I forgot the name of it, the new treatment for alopecia areata just got FDA approval. They talk about it over there as well, and other treatments that are coming down the pike. It's a great resource. They do host this program on their website, so we appreciate that. That's hairlosscure2020.com. And I think that is it. So back to you.
All right, guys. Listen, great show. Joseph W. Tillman, thank you so much for... People are going to think that's your middle initial, by the way.
I know. That's fine.
Thank you so much for doing what you do for hair loss sufferers all over the world. I want to give you a little credit, yo. Guys, until next week, be strong, God bless, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the programme, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you.